Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, May 4th, the first Wednesday of the month, and we are matching. We got a little black and white checker going.
That's right.
I don't know if you're wearing Cinco De Mayo. My turquoise hat is, but anyway.
It looks good on you.
Yes, it does. It always looks good with a black and white outfit.
That's right.
But hi, I'm Jenny-Jaymes Gunn. This is Coffee Pan Dulce, and I got my partner in crime, Cano. How are you doing?
Hey, Jenny. Hello. Happy almost Cinco de Mayo.
I know.
So, yeah.
We're getting all the margarita specials and all that. So, to start off the show, we'll get into it. But to me, and this will be a holdover into the actual discussion topic, I almost think Cinco de Mayo is the Latinx or Hispanic version of St. Patrick's Day.
It is.
And we could do a deep dive into it here in a minute. But I wanted to start off the show by positing that, and I guess we could jump into our salute and all that.
Let's get going. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Pan Dulce. I'm Cano, as Jenny said, one of your co-hosts, along with Jenny Gunn, Mama Ruth, and Barb Bacon. And I believe we were Mama Ruthless today again, and Barb Bacon.
And no bacon.
And no bacon? Yeah, no bacon.
No bacon.
Also, St. Bernie is not joining us today, and neither is baby Trump Pinata. So it's just you and me again, Jenny. We're going to have to carry the show. All right. So today is May the 4th, the day before Cinco de Mayo, which is our topic. We'll be talking about that. So let's salute to your neighbors, whatever you're drinking this morning. My coffee is in the other room, and I didn't want to be rude and leave the camera, but while you're talking, I'm going to run and grab it. And then also we want to thank Manolo's Bakery, our Pan Dulce sponsor, and I do have my Pan Dulce. I got to go get that as well. Manolo's Bakery in Central Avenue here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Please visit your Black and brown small businesses or any small business during this global pandemic. Buy local. All right. So with that said, Jenny, take a little bit of time to introduce yourself and any imaginary buttons you have so I can start. So people, I wish you knew what was going on today. But all right. Go ahead, Jenny.
I wish we knew what was going on. That's the most important part. So hi, I'm Jenny-Jaymes Gunn. I'm a LGBT community activist and advocate. I do a lot of local stuff, everything from the LGBT Democrats to the National Organization for Women, which I'm a board member for. I am an openly genderqueer, transgender woman, if you've never heard me before. So if you're listening to this on a podcast, I have a very deep, fairly masculine voice. But I am a trans woman. That's why I go by a girl name. But anyway, we do a lot of different topics, and my imaginary buttons would be, of course, Charlotte Pride. We have our Real Out Film Festival that I'll talk about at the end of the show. That's coming up on May 11th, and I am a believe women, trust women. I am a feminist and a board member of the very venerable Charlotte Pride, or Charlotte National Organization for Women chapter, which is the national organization is the largest feminist group in North America. And you're back.
Yes. Sorry, you heard that. Did you hear that?
No, actually, I didn't.
Right.
I was still yabbering whenever you came back.
All right.
Opened up you opened up.
This is my salute, a little late. And then once again, Manolo's Bakery. This is a concha and Barb Bacon's pig pan dulce. So we do want to thank Manolo's Bakery. So today's topic is actually Cinco de Mayo versus Diez Y Seis. Tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo. And all around the country, people will be having margaritas and tacos and enchiladas, whatever you're doing. I get it's. So we're going to talk about kind of educate people on what Cinco de Mayo is versus Diez Y Seis. So, but before we do that, we have three very exciting current events to talk about. This is really going to be good, and it's kind of talking about this topic. The first topic: Governor Greg Abbott. Am I saying that right? Greg Abbott in Texas has said that he's considering declaring Texas under invasion which means that he can invoke wartime powers, allowing state police to round up immigrants and send them back to Mexico. That's the first one. The second one is, because of all the conflict between the governor and the neighboring states in Mexico, the Mexican government has decided to not, they're doing this rail link. It's worth billions of dollars. It connects Mexican commerce to Canadian commerce. And they have now decided to not go through El Paso, to now go through New Mexico, because they don't want to mess with, they're tired of messing with all the buffoonery and stuff. So it's billions of dollars is going to be lost to the state of Texas. The last one is, if anyone has been watching PBS, there was a wonderful documentary. It was called Reconstruction, America After the Civil War. And it's a wonderful documentary. And there was a group of individuals, ladies, called the United Daughters of the Confederacy. And they, in 1910 or 1920, they formed, I think, something like that. And the first thing they did is they started banning books. They started protesting elected officials. And there's now people saying that the Moms for Freedom people that just started, that they're just like the Daughters of Confederacy. They're doing their exact playbook. So those are three topics. I know there's a lot to unpack. So, Jenny, as usual.
Well, I can since Abbott, obviously, and most of the Republicans don't understand the Constitution. First of all, it's illegal. If what he's claiming he can do, states do not have the ability to wage war or start martial law or round people up like that. Definitely comes under the federal mandate. So, it's one of the funny things about the whole, photo ID thing and all this, that they want to vet everybody else when these idiots don't even know what is in the law books. And he is the chief executive of Texas. That's really spooky. Texas needs to wake up, because he is a idiot del Pueblo. Somewhere there's a village missing him. I can tell you. Really, way to go, Mexico. Kudos. They that's smart. I mean, first of all, Albuquerque and Santa Fe are two amazing cities. I used to live in Albuquerque at one time, and got a ton of tech industry there. Like it's just a cool state. Land of enchantment is what it says on their license plates, and definitely good taste as well. They have good critical thinking. And too bad for Texas. It's exactly what the citizens of Texas deserve. They deserve to lose out on the money, because if you keep voting a schmuck like that in, you deserve it. You deserve it. End of story. Quit voting for Republicans. The Reconstruction group, it's just another white exclusionary apologist bullshit organization that lies about history. White people have always lied about history because we've always done shitty things. Anybody from Western Europe, do not trust them. That includes me. Do not elect somebody like me.
You're one of the good ones.
Yeah, I'm one of the good ones. Air quotes.
You're one of the good ones.
But here's the thing, is that we lie about our history, and I'm talking about white people. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm speaking for white people as the white representative. And I can just tell you, we do these things, and then we realize, oh my God, that was really bad. In fact, one of the 6 topics on Two Queers is actually going to talk about this exact same thing, except a different story. But the problem is that we're like the little kid that gets in a cookie jar, and we realize we got to come up with a lie. We get our little paws in there, and we get a couple cookies out. We munch on a couple of them. We got Oreos all over our face. And then history, looking back at history, or the history books, is like the parent comes in and says, "What are you doing? What do we use? It's just about dinner time." And we got the cookie crumbs all over our face. And you come up with aliens, or the dog made me do it, or I grabbed it from the dog and it slapped me in the face, or whatever. And we create these fake lying ass narratives to cover our tracks, that we shouldn't be dipping into the cookie jar and hurting people.
I like that. Hey, did you come up with that one? That was,
I'm a
I like that.
I am the talent of the show, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, that's pretty creative. All right. So my take, and then we'll take our first break, is the Greg Abbott thing. I completely agree with you. He's a buffoon, just like DeSantis, and they know this is illegal. They know they can't do it. The federal government's the only people that can do things like that, declare war, but their strategy is always they're going to do it, and then they'll just fight it in the courts. But at least it excites people. And of course, he's doing it, to make sure he gets reelected, which is just, it's crazy. The rail link, I completely agree with you. This is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that because this was on the cover of the Dallas Morning News this morning, or Monday morning. And what I'm hoping is the citizens of Texas realize that the craziness of Abbott and all of those people are going to start costing them money. And when it hits you in the pocketbook, I'm hoping that they will take that when they go to the polls in November and hopefully vote him out. And then the new governor, which I hope is Beto, I think he probably is the person. Yeah, he's the nominee. I hope that he can smooth things over with Mexico and they can just bring it back. So we'll see. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to change their mind because they don't want to mess with, that. Okay. The other one it was a great documentary. There are so many parallels to it. And it's interesting, this Moms Freedom group that we talked about. You remember we had the Support Our Schools ladies that were here. This Moms Freedom group, they are, when you look at the documentary and you look at, they're like everything from the exact plain book of the white supremacists and the KKK from after the Confederacy. It's almost like, God, where did we see that before? It is amazing how similar they are. So those are the three things. Go ahead, Jen.
Can we just say it? It is the same people. It's just their great grandkids.
Yeah.
The Liberty Bombs, these wackos.
Yeah.
Are in that same bloodline or whatever you want to call it. And that kind of family tree is like a pine tree. It has very few branches on a lot, no original thought. These wackos have been lying about the Civil War. Even now, you go to a Trump rally and you talk about the Confederate flag, they're like, "Oh no, those slaves, they were treated pretty good."
My heritage.
I mean, those slaves were treated pretty good. I mean, that's one of the big lies. And I'm going. Well, they weren't invited guests. They weren't staying at the Hilton. They were shackled up so they couldn't run away. Their feet were cut off if they did run away. Crazy stuff like that. Like there's no lie too big for conservatives. There just really isn't. They just will lie about anything. It's just,
I agree. On that note, let's take our first break and we'll be right back. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching our Coffee Pan Dulce Show every week. Don't forget you can watch us visually on our video podcast platforms on Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of the other ones that your favorite, whatever your favorite is. Once again, thank you for watching us on Coffee Pan Dulce. We'll dance out. Well, welcome back, everyone, and thank you, Jenny. That was, as usual, you're the talent, So, all right, so let's talk about the Cinco de Mayo versus Diez Y Seis. So, tomorrow was Cinco de Mayo, and restaurants all across America will be having, margarita specials, and beer companies will be having. Pub crawls. Yeah, pub crawls. There'll be, people with hats on. I've got a Pinata hat back here. All kinds of stuff, and it'll all be white people.
Yeah. I don't know. In San Antonio, there were a lot of different people that went down to the Riverwalk and get so drunk someone would fall in. And, as somebody that's worked in the hospitality business, especially, clubs and bars and restaurants and that sort of thing, and I've worked in cities like San Antonio because I used to live there. Cinco de Mayo, Chris, all these events sponsored by Budweiser and all this just crazy stuff going on. And
exactly,
and I find it funny because nobody really knows what Cinco de Mayo really is.
Yep, we'll tell them,
including a lot of Latinx people too.
Yes,
there's a surprising amount of Latinx people who do not have any idea.
Yes,
we just know that. Just like St. Patty's Day actually has a significant reason why there's a St. Patrick's Day. But just like Valentine's Day, just like all these manufactured, I call them hallmark holidays, that either you're selling gifts or you're selling partying. And that's what most of these, including the 4th of July, is about manufacturing economic holidays and their consumerism, which is fine. I don't really care. But that's really what most of these are now. You know?
Okay. So if you remember, about a year ago, we had you know who I'm talking, the journalist, Rafael Preto, and we talked about kind of Cinco de Mayo on that show. And he said he was in for it because it brings business to restaurants all across America. There are more Mexican restaurants in the United States than any other type of restaurant, and they do incredible business. So here's the difference between Cinco de Mayo. And especially if you live in Texas, you understand that there is a difference, and I'll tell you why. So Cinco de Mayo is actually, it's for the Battle of Puebla. It's where the Mexican army fought the French, I believe, or the Spanish, one of those, at the Battle of Puebla. So it celebrates, or whatever, the Battle of Puebla. Mexico actually lost that war, but that's what that Cinco de Mayo was when it started. I think it was an 11-day war, or I can't remember exactly, but something like that. Anyway, so that's Cinco de Mayo, okay? Diez Y Seis, which is the 16th of September, is Mexican Independence Day. That is the day that people, if you're from Mexico or Mexican origin, people in Texas celebrate it as well. Some people, Mexican Americans, Tejanos, my family celebrates it. It is actually celebrating Mexican Independence Day. It's where the Mexican army won the independence from Spain or French. I can't remember. I think it's French. Spain. One of those. Yeah, one of those two. Like that. Yes. Okay. Oh, Spain. Okay. All right. You're probably right. I know. So, anywho, that's Diez Y Seis.
That's why it was called New Spain. So
that's right. Oh, that's right.
Mexico.
Okay.
New Spain went all the way up through like Oregon,
that's true,
California, and all that, and then eventually it became Mexico.
Yes. So
actually, the United States of Mexico.
Yeah, exactly.
Its full name is the United States of Mexico.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, well, I think I did. We knew that. Okay, so people often confuse Cinco de Mayo with Diez Y Seis. They don't even celebrate Diez Y Seis. A lot of Anglos don't. But they do celebrate Cinco de Mayo, and they actually think that's independent. It's not. Mexican Independence Day is Diez Y Seis, and Cinco de Mayo is celebrating a Battle of Pueblo. And it's really kind of took off with, like, beer companies started sponsoring it, and it is. And I was trying to read how kind of it really got the real thing, and they talked about how it was like the beginning of like festival season in America, April and May, and it was just another festival that people wanted to celebrate. So anyway, that's the difference. Any comments, Jenny?
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things that we've seen grow a lot in our lifetimes. As you've seen more of a commercialization of all these holidays, which I do think is great. I agree with Raphael. I think one, it celebrates, Latinx cultures and identities. It creates an awareness, even if it's just for a day, even if it's partying. You're still putting that conversation out there. There's still some type of cultural conversation, because many of the restaurants, the benefit from this are your smaller local businesses that will have people come in, especially in San Antonio, where there's
huge.
Very heavy. Mm-hmm. Your most active Tex-Mex restaurants are almost all locally owned. They're all families that have been there for a couple hundred years in that region, and so there's a lot of cool traditions that spin off, and especially very heavily dominant Latinx cities like Los Angeles, San Diego, San Antonio. And where that culture is so immersed that when you live there, you can't help but be drawn and connected to that community for life, such as myself, that I started my life in a city like that. Mm-hmm. And I'll always have a a fondness and attachment to San Antonio because of that. And many of it was because of the cultural festivities, Fiesta, Cinco de Mayo, and on all the different things that are observed there. And it's just got art and music and the first Cano music I ever heard was at Fiesta, just a little kid hearing all the conjunto bands, and they're doing all this and getting up there with like polka bands and just it's really, really fond memories, and you see that sort of thing as a kid and you never forget it. And so it's very appreciable. It creates a togetherness and it bridges a gap. I think food and shows of culture help bridge a gap that humanizes the other side, that does the opposite of what, say, the former guy did when he said, all the quote unquote, air quote, Mexicans coming across the border are all rapists and drug dealers. And we hear all this horrible racist stuff. And you look at it and go, no, that's not my America.
This is to me is the confusing for me. It's difficult to understand, and you probably as well. It is very confusing during the Trump era, and he didn't invent it. It was there before. He just highlighted some of the.
He just exploited it.
White supremacists and racism and so forth. I don't understand how you can be anti-Latinx or anti-immigrant because they just assume, people coming over from the border and all this kind of stuff, and then also celebrate Cinco de Mayo and Diez Y Seis. It's like, how can one side of you're saying, I don't want culture, but I love my fajitas and my tacos and my Mexican food and I love this. You talk about hypocritical.
Think about all the cuisines that Americans, no matter who they are, love. We love Asian food. We love Mexican food, especially. We love Italian food. Who doesn't love a good pizza? And all these cultural foods, all these foods that did not originate in the United States. And Chris, we do have to say that white supremacists are idiots. They are. You're not really smart if you are a white supremacist. Like, you have to be dumb to think that the color of your skin makes you smarter. And I say this about gender and gender identity all the time, that there's no brains down in your genitals. There's no brains in your fucking skin. Like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not like Dr. B. I'm not no brain surgeon or anything like that. But I took enough biology to know that the only thing that your skin's really good for is you do breathe through it a little bit. You get a little bit of oxygen with your skin, and it's what pretty much holds us together. It's the
wrapping. Jen, we talked about this
deal. Like, to me, this is one of the things that sticks in my craw about racism and just the white supremacy thing. Every white supremacist I've ever met is the dumbest person in the room, unless there's another white supremacist, and then they're the two dumbest in the room. Like, I've had some work for me. I've had them, slide a couple white supremacist comments and and I'm like, hey, shut that up. But go back to mouth breathing and sit in the corner. But they're always the dumbest hillbilly sacks of crap in the room. And I have to think about, I can't think of any smart white supremacist like that. I've never seen an Einstein type person, or like like someone like Stephen Hawking. I've never heard him say a racist thing, or like Degrassi. He's a super smart scientist too, and all these really super smart scientists and geniuses, or even like a Dr. B, that's anti-racist. Those people that are really, really smart, that know how things work, and they teach other people to know how things work. If you notice the pattern, that those really smart people are also anti-racist, and the hillbilly Jethro inbred people, the really dumb mouth breathers, they're always the ones that are racist.
So You remember we had that show, I can't remember how long ago, about Southern heritage and Southern culture, what was real Southern culture. And we had talked about how if all we ate was American food, it would be there is no such thing as really American.
That's the best
bland.
part. So most Southern culture food came from black people.
Not exactly.
Soul food, comfort food. Think about, Creole beans and rice and Cajun food and all the food that you think of as true Southern culture came from black people. So do
you think you think that this Cinco de Mayo that restaurants should have a sign, just like there was this big thing back in the when Trump was in office. There were these people that had these signs on their doors that said "No Democrats allowed in here." Or, it was stupid. Whatever. Probably Laura Bobbitt, whatever her name is, she probably has that at her place. Do you think that maybe Mexican restaurants during Cinco de Mayo should have signs and say "White supremacists not allowed in here" because I think
it should be 365 days a year. I don't want to share space with them. Like to me, especially on a Cinco de Mayo or some kind of non-white observance of anything, whether it's Kwanzaa or Cinco de Mayo or whatever. Personally, I love places that have signs up and going, no racism, no sexism, nothing tolerated here. I think if you see these yard signs out now that say, "I believe in science, I believe in this," people with love is love. And you've got one in your yard too.
Yep.
And if I had a yard, I'd put that sign out. But for me, the moronic my freedoms, group of mouth breathers and idiots that run their mouth about what they think freedom is. You can't espouse freedom and the ideals of freedom and at the same time be burning books and saying and yelling about a flimsy little mask or whatever. There's when you're that dumb, you're disconnected with any kind of reality because you don't understand reality. If you really are that dumb, if you're a room temperature IQ person like the former president, that's dumber than a sack of hammers, and that's an insult to the hammers. When you're like that, you just don't understand. I don't even think you have the capacity to understand. And there's so much reason why 81 million people fired you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yep. Well, on that note, let's take our second break, and we'll be right back on Coffee and Pan Dulce. Hey, I'm Christian Cano. I wanted to thank you so much for watching our Coffee and Pan Dulce shows. I also want to thank you so much for watching us on our video podcast, which is on Facebook and YouTube, but also for listening to us on our audio podcast shows on your favorite audio podcast platform like Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podcast Chaser, and many more. Once again, thanks for watching us and listening to us on Coffee and Pan Dulce. Bye, y'all. Welcome back. So we're trying to fill a whole hour.
Well, I got much more to say.
No, I know you do, and I'm so glad.
It really, because in full disclosure, we had a meeting of Latinx and Hispanic community leaders and all that off camera in a private Zoom meeting, and we were talking about different organizational things and things to help the greater Charlotte area, and you hear all the really intelligent and passionate talk in that room, and then all I gotta do is pull up Twitter and we'll see Marge 3 names mouth breathing or some other racist homophobic bigot talking, and you just go and you think about that Zoom call that we were just on, and I think about I can look on the social media and I can pull up any plethora of Fox News pundits, idiots, mouth breathers, And just the difference in the passion, the difference in caring, the difference in and all that. And it's just proven that when you have communities based on love, like the Latinx community, how I look at the Latinx community is a person that's outside of the community, but has lived in the community. A lot of my friends are Latinx and Hispanic. I've always been drawn to that community. I've always been passionate about that community because I grew up with that community. My school was over 60% Latinx. I was the minority in my school, which didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all. And it shouldn't bother anybody. But yeah, we've got a certain small fraction of white people in this country. It's not all, but there's just a little, maybe 10% of us that are so petrified that some other community of color, some other group, whether it's homosexuals, whether it's brown people, black people, new arrivals or whatever, are so petrified they're going to get something that they don't get. They're going to get to go by some special rule that they're not going to have access to or something, even though since 1619, white people have been going by special rules, have special privileges, and the privileges and access to things, including money and land, that nobody else gets.
But hey, Jen, do you think, I know you and I have talked about this a lot, and I know we're going off topic, but Cinco de Mayo, all right, yeah, this is a great conversation. Do you think that these people, the bigotry and the white supremacy that we're seeing, and it seems like it's the most I've seen in a while, most I've seen people just openly doing it, just blatantly, marching.
I think that's the key. I think that's the key. I think when you elect an idiot like Trump, and I mean, just a mouth-breathing idiot that went to all these hate groups and said, I need your money to get elected. What do you need me to repeat? I said, well, we don't want none of them brown or black people taking over this country. And we already had that with Obama, and he opened our country up to the homosexuals and the Chinese and all that. And so we don't need any more of that. We need real Americans, winking, good Christians, white people taking us over. Okay? So here's a big old sack of money. Go get your tanned ass out there and go do some good for the Lord. And it's exactly what happened. Some of the groups he solicited were so far right-wing terroristic. All happen to be Christian groups. And so terroristic that not even W solicited money from them. These are some wackos that he went in front of that no Republican president has ever solicited donations from. He went to the most extreme, Ku Klux Klan loving, white supremacist Christian terrorists and said, what do you want? And he spent a month doing that in 2016. Said, as soon as he got the nomination, and this is borne out in the fact that you saw so much overtly racist, even MAGA. What does MAGA really mean? It means making America great again. What it really meant is making sure white supremacists are in charge again.
Exactly. Everyone knows that's what it is.
Even the campaign slogan was racist. So he empowered all these mouth breathers with these pickup trucks and these big old flags and those shooting off illegal fireworks and everything else. It gave them hope that Trump would lead them to some kind of racist, white supremacy, utopian promised land, where really all it did was just crush our country and make us look to the world like a bunch of inbred hillbillies, which only they are. But unfortunately, it empowers the dumbest of our society, which is the white supremacist.
But do you think the reason that they have really doubled down on their supremacy is because they're afraid that marginalized groups will treat them like they have been treated?
Well, I think that is...
You know what I mean?
I think they're not smart enough to think that.
Okay.
I don't think that they actually understand how our country's shifting. They don't really understand why. They're like a 3-year-old, except a 3-year-old has excuse because they're only 3 years old. But these people chronologically adults, but they're mentally not. They never developed enough mentally or psychologically to be functioning adults. Trump is not a functioning adult. He acts like a man-child that once it's binky, and it's binky of power, and they don't care how they get it. And somehow these mouth breathers see some kind of alignment with the Elon Musk, the Trumps, the Glenn Becks, the Rush Limbaughs, you know, and they first of all, they somehow think that they're going to jump from their $5,000 trailer to a $2 million home. They're going to be like Elon Musk. I'm going, well, unless you inherited a lot of blood diamond money, like Elon Musk guy, with a rich, racist, apartheid South African family. Let's start there. Like, he didn't start broke. Like, this dude wasn't working at Walmart, you know, 2 extra shifts a week, and started up PayPal and sold PayPal for a big chunk of money and started the Google machine. Yeah. Like his story, he didn't start broke. Yeah. All the big guys that all these tech oligarchs that we have in this country, whether it's you know, Bill Gates or the Amazon dude or any of them, they didn't start with nothing. They weren't going out and doing side hustles, delivering pizzas or anything like that. Like, these dudes started with a lot of seed money and a lot of family power and money, and then parlayed it into lots more money.
I will say, Jenny, that the one thing that I think the MAGA people, you know, because they're still MAGA people, they're the ones are still denying.
We still got gentlemen in Congress.
Yeah, you know, the one thing that I will say is they have an incredibly bad marketing scheme right now, because if you are looking, and we talked about this before, if you're looking like a future of something, when I drive around in the rural areas of North Carolina, the only time I still see a Trump sign is in like a really trashy trailer.
Yeah,
and it's almost like it's a comical thing, because
or it's the W's house. So what about jobs that I do is I do delivery work. So I drive all over the greater Charlotte area where we both live. And so there's one off Sardis Road that's right on the corner of Sardis Road and whatever street this is. And they've got every MAGA sign that you can dream up, whatever hillbilly saying they have that's in this yard. It's MAGA Central. Now, I'm not surprised it's not covered in eggs and toilet paper all the time, but it is, or they clean it up all the time. The rest of the neighborhood has the signs, the rainbow flags and stuff like that. And it's a very progressive neighborhood that has this one wacko, and their yard is nappy looking. And you know, it definitely needs a coat of paint. And you just tell how dysfunctional these people are. And you know, in the Daily Show, Trevor Noah's show, sends that one guy out as a field reporter, sends him to the different Trump rallies and MAGA rallies and all this. And he asks them the most simplest questions, and the answers are just unreal. Like that, and you know they're only showing the kookiest ones. Yeah. But I guarantee you, if you sent that same dude to a Biden rally in 2020, because Biden doesn't campaign all the time like Trump did. But if you send him to a Biden rally or a Democrat rally, you wouldn't have those kind of wackos there. You won't see wackos like that. You may have one. You may have one paint chip eating fool out there. But they're probably just a wayward Republican just stumbled into an event, or they're to protest it. But you just don't, like, I see, like, we went to those 3 different protests in the summer of 2020. And you just didn't see people like that there. They were actually marching with the NAACP and all the other the groups that were represented there in solidarity. All those progressive groups, you did not see MAGA-looking wackos. You just didn't see that. And every time you go to a progressive rally, or like the Women's March, for example, that we just had the anti-Texas SB 8 or whatever it was, we had a women's march last October. And the only wackos you saw there were the protesters of us. Like all the women's groups, all the LGBT groups that came in unison to protest that, all were normal, intelligent people.
Mm-hmm.
And then came the mouth breathers. And they're spitting and frothing at the mouth. They look like a homeless Santa. Of course, we had our buddy Skip that's there. That's just a wacko pushing people around, only women, because he didn't have the guts to push anybody big enough to knock him on his butt. And he changed a different tune when the cops showed up. He was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry," and all that. But I guess my whole point is, we should, as progressives, whether you're a Democrat or just a progressive, we should record 30-second snippets of progressive marches and gatherings and do 30 seconds of the Trump mouth breathers and play them side by side in the same 1 minute commercial and just blast it all over the TikTok and the Instagram.
Yeah.
And just play it on loop. I mean, just from all over the country. And it just, you all you got to do is go to a Trump rally to see the wackiness, just the weird ass Winnebago driving.
I agree. Let's go ahead and take our last break. Our last break, we'll be talking about the show that comes on about 20, 30 minutes. We drop it 20, 30 minutes after this show. It's called Two Queers in a Truck, which Jenny leads. And we'll take our last break to talk about that show.
Up next is Two Queers in a Truck with Jenny and Christian. And hope you guys tune in. We'll see you in about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you.
Well, welcome back. Once again, that's Two Queers in a Truck that comes on 20 to 30 minutes. At 11:30, we drop it on Wednesdays. So, Jenny, get back to the Trump rally thing, because we got, 15 minutes left. Do you, I know what you're going to say, but some people say the only reason they go to those is because it's entertaining. But I guess that really speaks volumes of them. If that's what the fact that is your entertainment, you're not taking your family to the movies, you're not going to a football game or a baseball. It's a very unique type of person, isn't it?
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
The Nazi party always had those same type of rallies. Snake oil salespeople had those type of rallies. Is that the carny snake oil salesperson, Bible salesman, wacko is always Amway.
Yeah,
they had their own little Amway meeting. Anybody between the age of 30 and 55 has probably been has gone to at least one Amway meeting.
Yeah,
which funny is how Betsy DeVos made her money by Scamway. And whether it's a multi-level marketing deal that always happens to be a whole bunch of really conservative Christians.
Yeah,
all these rallies are some kind of extremist Christian group. All
Central
the protests of pride. Yeah, they're always selling. That's why a lot of these essential oil dippy type people are also conservatives that were also anti-vaccine. Like there is a whole string of absolute ignorance that they'll buy anything, like the My Pillow guy. Come to find out, Dr. Oz also has a special kind of pillow too.
I saw that. Yeah,
show. Yeah. And so there are all these hucksters, all these, and it kind of came out, when Trump was talking about different ways to mitigate COVID, and it was pre-vaccine, and he was talking about that in the press conference, and you heard him say, "Well, can we just use some bleach, or we can inject some UV light," and you just hear him. But that he's not. I think one of the reasons they like him is because he's as dumb as they are, and so he's willing to say the really stupid and inane things that other run-of-the-mill conservative racists and bigots sound like. And you can even jump in a conversation when somebody's talking about the LGBT community, and they say, "I'm fine with them, but I don't want them to try anything funny." And at surface level, you think, "Oh, well, they'll try anything funny," yeah, I guess they wouldn't want to be turned gay. But I'm going, you can't turn gay unless you are gay. And you finally gave yourself permission to come out, like Madison Cawthorn just did. And you know,
are you gonna be talking about that on your show?
I need to. I didn't make it on a 6 topics.
Okay.
Because I forgot about it.
Okay,
and we talked about him so much, but I'll squeeze it in.
On Monday or Sunday, I saw some type of blurb that the guy that grabbed his crotch lives with him and works, and he pays for his trips to whatever, and that someone that Tom Tillis, Senator Tom Tillis, and that group, they're insinuating, they were very blunt, that he's having an inappropriate relationship with a staff member, and that he needs to be investigated by the congressional.
So Madison's breaking the 11th commandment. You know what that is? Thou shalt not put thy rod into thy staff.
This one is gone.
Well, you know, and of course, you know, the Republicans are the ones that released that video, by the way. They did. It came from the Republican Party. It was released to all types of like the Midas Touch, and a bunch of groups that are anti-Republican, because they're like, here, we'll float this out. Because as I talked about 3 years ago on this show in 2019, I said at the end of the day, what's going to do the magazine or other Republicans? They've gotten too loud, too stupid, and they're taking over this cake party. And the regular traditionalist Republicans, the Cheney family, the Bush family, the Rockefeller type families, the core, the Koch family, the core people that are the backbone of that party, whether you want to agree with it or not, the ones that are the controlling benefactors, realize now that these seditious, most wacko fringes of their deal is bad for business. And it's what's going to keep people from donating to the big slush funds, like the ones that the guy from Kentucky control, like the turtle, Mitch McConnell. The controls $70 to $100 million in his discretion to give to other Senate campaigns. And all those deals, those are drying up. A lot of companies have said, we're going to stop donating, and we don't want an attachment to the Republican Party. And they've lost a lot of funding, including companies like Disney. And I'm going to tell you what, that's the beginning of the end, because if they can't fund these wackos, the regular wackos, because the more wacky wackos, like the Madison Cawthorns, the MTGs, these extremists, they're going to have to, they're the ones, that part of the Republican Party that's the traditionalists, they're the ones that are going to be releasing the crotch grab things, the pictures of lingerie, the legal records of Bobbert's, has been, they're the ones floating this out. I
agree with you. I do believe that within the Republican Party, and those people who say, well, I've always been Republican, my family, that's the reason I vote Republican. It's not that I like Trump, it's just I vote Republican. Even them, those people, the bougies of the Republicans, like you said, the Bushes and all those kind of people, there's a limit to trailer trash. Well, even with them.
they're okay with trailer trash. It's just that they don't want them in office.
Yes,
because
exactly.
When you have a loose cannon like versus like Dick Cheney,
the
evil emperor, he was very subtle about his evil. He had a good cover story. He understood how covert operations work. The Bush family understands that. Papa Bush was director of the CIA forever. These people understand how to run under the radar. They understand how to kill 1 million people in Afghanistan and Iraq and get away with it. And so they literally committed war crimes and got away with it and made a lot of their rich Republican friends a lot of money, versus the wacko Trump people, get sued by the AG of New York, and are being led by my pillow dude that's already, gotten banned twice by Twitter. and you get this clown show that is just scaring off. It's kind of like, you know, you go on this hunting party, you go deer hunting or something, and you bring this one jackass friend that's always going to get drunk and make a fool of themselves, scare all the deer away. And they're realizing this. So on the next trip, they're going, we're going to leave Joe home. We're just going to, he gets whiskey drunk. And next thing you know, he's peeing on me in the tent and he's just a problem. They just need to leave them home. And this is exactly, I think, in the midterms, one way or the other, the Republicans are going to rat out all the wacko Republicans.
I hope so.
In the January 6th thing. I think, because they're the ones that are going to be presenting the evidence.
Yeah.
They're the ones that can subpoena it. And magically, I think there's a lot of Republicans, they're going, well, this is what MTG sent me. Here, it didn't come from me. It's just like a lot of the people that testified in Watergate were Republicans too, but they kept them in anonymity and they slid things over to the Democrats investigating it. And I guarantee you there's already, you know, Republicans ratting them out, just like all the people sitting in jail right now are going, well, I'll show you all the texts I got from MTV, you know, and they're going to sell them up the river like they should.
So Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. And so backtracking back to Cinco de Mayo, you know, to me, the real lack of knowledge, the only thing that I see wrong with Cinco de Mayo is that it's with the actual cultural importance to that date and the September 16th date is it does mitigate the understanding of Mexican heritage, Latinx heritage, and just a cultural misunderstanding in general is that turning it into a party holiday also keeps us from really understanding why, how, and all that. And there's such a misunderstanding of, you know, especially Texas history, which has always been a partnership for a long time between different cultures. And when you don't understand that, and you don't, and people say, well, people are coming over the border all the time. I'm like, yeah, but they always have.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes, and I know you and I talk about this all the time, but and those who watch us, you've probably heard a lot if you watch us a lot. The Abbott thing makes no sense. The DeSantis thing makes no sense. I don't understand their logic, their strategy. Mexico is America's, when we talked about last week, remember? Mexico is literally Texas's biggest trading partner. Why would you upset your customer? And it is just, and there's so much Tejano influence. And even if you're second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth generation, even if you're, let's say, even if you're a San Antonio old family, like the Castros, you know, or whatever, you know, all those old families are the ones that own all the properties in San Antonio, whatever. Their families have been mixed marriage. They've married Anglos, they've married, you know, they're all mixed with each other. There comes a point where things just become just unacceptable. You know what I mean? And I don't understand what the business community in Texas has to be up in arms. I mean, I don't know, Jen. I mean,
we've been saying this for years, is that number one, you know, white people are fastly becoming the largest minority in this country. And the time is ticking. And for the people that create the thoughts, the group think on the right side, on the messaging side, that the Koch brothers and somebody, you know, spend time sending out all these wacky accusations and stuff like this, is it's really their Hail Mary. It's their last pushback before they know that, and you got to think about, if only half of the white people, or even 60% of the white people, are Republican, that tells you how much smaller the Republican Party is.
Yeah.
And they've been able, as a minority party, because the Republican Party is much smaller than the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is the Democratic Party is never. They don't sell by fear. They don't sell by deal because first of all, the Democratic voter is much smarter than the Republican voter. It just is. It just it's just reality, and it's not because of the jobs they do. It's just that we look at our elected officials.
We critically think,
and we're typically less religious. Typically our donations don't come from religious organizations. They definitely don't come from religious terrorist organizations like Republicans have. And we're not anti anything. That's why we're progressive. The majority of Democrats are moderately to wildly progressive because we want progress for everybody. I've never heard a Democrat mean, I want progress just for these people.
Yeah, I agree.
Never hear that. And on the opposite, everything you hear at a Trump rally, a MAGA rally, any kind of rally that's involving that brand, all you hear is about what I'm against.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm against books.
They hate everything.
Learning anything about history. We don't want no education.
But they like tacos and margaritas on Cinco de Mayo.
But yeah, they absolutely love certain cultures because of the food. Which I think is so bizarre when you see a white racist just munching down on some soul food or some Tex-Mex, and you're thinking, it's probably not a white person that made that food.
Yeah, well,
not a white person that owns this business.
Okay,
and yet you hate people of color. And I'm going, it's such a weird thing.
Listen, this has been a great show.
We carried it again.
Right.
Next week we have another great show. The title of next week's show is Can Millennials Save America? And there's a very, very long subtitle on that one. And then the week after, we'll be talking about inflation and unemployment. Is it good for the economy? And then the last show of May, to end our spring shows, is going to be talking about should we be paying for stadiums? Who should be paying for stadiums? Taxpayers or our owners? That really is effective here in Charlotte, where we have a football team that's looking for a new stadium. So that'd be interesting. Maybe we'll have a Republican on that. So we'll see. Maybe you can pull one of your strings and get them on later. All right. So with that said, listen, it's been a great show. Thank you, Jenny. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone. Now you know the difference between Cinco de Mayo and Diez Y Seis. And Jenny, 30 seconds or less, tell us where you're going to be next week before our next show.
So after this show, of course, I'll have the 2 Queer show. But the next thing is that I do have my not my film festival. It's called Real Out. It's part of Charlotte Pride. And we vet and cultivate independent filmmakers, and they send in some wonderful films. We have a shorts night, which is short films. They're typically less than 20 minutes long. In fact, they're usually about 5 to 8 minutes long. And then the rest of the nights are feature films. We have festivities and activities at the big Camp North End. But if you want to find out more information, go to Charlotte Pride's website or any of their social media sites and look up the Real Out Film Festival. And it's fun, exciting, and just something we do pre-pandemic. We did it every year in May. And then it got, pandemic changed things. And this will be the first live one, completely in-person one, since 2019.
Excellent. Okay. I will be happy Mother's Day. This weekend is Mother's Day weekend, by the way. And so, Jenny, happy Mother's Day. You've got kids.
Thank you.
So just want to say that. And we'll be back next week, same time, same place. Wasn't there a show that used to say that same time, same place?
Same back channel.
Yeah. Was that? Is that what that was? Oh man, we're dating ourselves.
Well, every day it was in reruns for perpetuity.
That's right. We watched reruns.
We were kids, right? And so she was the first superstation,
Yeah. All right. So with that said, Jenny, thank you. Bye, y'all.
See you soon. Hey guys, thanks for watching, and muchas gracias. And hope you enjoyed your Cinco de Mayo this week. And we appreciate everything that you do for us. We will see you next Wednesday.
Bye, baby. I was going to do a great thing. Bye, y'all.
Next up, thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce. Next up is Two Queers in a Truck. Stay tuned.